Hey everyone, welcome to my reaction for episodes 1 and 2 of The Last of Us Season 2 on HBO Max. But first, let me address the Pomeranian in the room. Hopefully some of you clicked on this link because the little thumbnail showed my little dog Mocha on there. I just wanted to share a personal pet peeve of mine that I've been seeing a lot of lately are the facial reactions to episodes. So as you scroll through thumbnails, you might see people with very surprised faces or looking like they're absolutely devastated by what they're seeing on the screen. I'm seeing this far too often these days. So what I would love to do is actually start a trend where we see more pets and animals. So my commitment to you is with the more likes and subscribes to my videos, what I will do is alter the picture of my dog Mocha, the Pomeranian, with wider eyes and a bigger mouth and just a more shocked expression as we move on with the series. Alright, so episodes 1 and 2 of The Last of Us, where to begin? So obviously The Last of Us television show is based off a PlayStation Studios game called The Last of Us, created by the Naughty Dog team and written and directed by Neil Druckmann. If you have not seen season 1, I would definitely recommend watching that first. It is not, in my opinion, your typical post-apocalyptic show. I feel like this one is very much rooted in science with the cordyceps fungus. If you don't know what that is, please look it up. It's really quite interesting, but also very disturbing at the same time. And at the core of the show and the game, at least in Neil Druckmann's words, the first game is about love found in the most dire of times between Joel Miller, and Ellie. So the television show doesn't exactly follow that one-to-one as the first game. There are some very, very interesting deviations, so please check that out. Season 2 seems to be following suit. I don't necessarily agree with some of those changes. For example, this is obviously spoilers if you haven't seen anything, just be forewarned. In the first episode of Season 2, you immediately see the ramifications of Joel's actions at the end of Season 1. That is not how the game starts. And for context, there was a long pause between the release date of Last of Us Part 1 and The Last of Us Part 2. And The Last of Us Part 1 was so critically acclaimed that many argued that there shouldn't even be a sequel. It was at the top of the mountain peak, and just let's not try to improve upon it because it's probably not likely going to happen. That was the argument. So in the game, when it first starts, you do get to play pretty quickly as a different character. I think there were quite a number of theories going around about how the second game would be taking place from a completely different perspective, leaving Joel and Ellie out of it because that was just the absolute peak in terms of video games. So maybe part 2 would just be a different story altogether. I remember hearing those rumors during development. So part of me thought that that was going to be the case as I was playing through part 2. But in The Last of Us Season 2 for HBO, they sort of immediately foreshadow certain elements that are going to happen in the show, kind of adding tension, which I find interesting, but I don't necessarily agree that that should have been the way it was done, because that foreshadowing put a sort of dark cloud on the rest of the episode and episode 2. That was, something I just didn't really think should have happened, but obviously, Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann are excellent at what they do, so I put my belief in them. As far as people who haven't played the games, maybe it did hit in just the way that they were hoping it would. The second episode probably was the most divisive aspect of Last of Us Part 2, the video game, when it was released. Covered some very heart-wrenching scenes, and so I think when Neil Druckmann said that Part 1 was about love, the love between Joel and Ellie, this found family situation. Part 2 is about hate. and sort of what happens to people when they find something special in these dark times, how they maybe hold on too tightly or do something that they will regret later. What I think Neil Druckmann called it the circle of violence. And so we are starting to see that play out now. And having just finished episode 2, it was very gut-wrenching, even though I knew what was going to happen. There were some interesting changes, though, in episode 2 as compared to the video game. Namely, there were team pairings that were a little bit different, and so just curious how that will change different aspects of the show as compared to the video game. And there was also this gigantic battle scene, I would say, that takes place in and around Jackson. The medium of playing a video game sort of necessitated seeing things from mostly one point of view or 2 points of view in this case. You don't really get to see what is happening in Jackson in the video game. So I don't know if something similar to that was happening, but this looked like it was a really, really big deal. So again, just gonna see how that changes from game to television show. And that's just basically going to be my quick reaction without trying to spoil too much. Again, this is a wonderful game series and also looks to be top-notch television show. So again, please like and subscribe, and depending on the number of likes and subscribes that I get, I will increase the size of Mocha's eyes and his mouth. So please spread the word, and let's see if we can make this kind of like almost a ridiculous thumbnail as we move forward. Yeah, and thank you very much. I will catch you next week. Bye-bye.